Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and I wanted to spend today's video talking about a very interesting time within PokeMMO's history. You see, we're really lucky today, and we're really privileged that we have tons of different ways to make Pokeyen in PokeMMO. I have over 60 guides on my channel under my Money Making Guides playlist, and that's really just scratching the surface. You can really do anything. You can catch any Pokemon, you can farm any item, you can do tons and tons of different things to make Pokeyen nowadays. Really good Pokeyen, might I add, like way more than you've ever been able to make in PokeMMO. I think that's pretty cool. That brings me to today's topic, which was back in the day, there was really only one thing you could do for money in PokeMMO, and that's because there's only one thing that essentially was money or was the currency of PokeMMO. PokeMMO veterans might already know what I'm talking about, especially since I'm at this location within the game. I'm talking about lucky eggs and lucky egg farming. You see, back in 2014 or so, pre-2014 even, 2012 to 2013 especially, Pokeyen wasn't tradable, I believe. People could correct me in the comments. Some people remember it as Pokeyen wasn't tradable. Some people say that it was tradable, but you could only have like 50k Pokeyen max, so people didn't really use it as a currency. I don't really remember, to be totally honest, so I just don't know. It was a long time ago. It's 2023 now. It's 10 years or so, right? I did play in 2013, so we can tell by my little player card, but I don't remember everything perfectly. Anyways, continuing on. So what happened was lucky eggs. Here we go, Chansey. Lucky eggs were the currency. Lucky eggs were the currency of PokeMMO for many, many years. Now, the lucky eggs we know today are just consumable items. We can actually check them on the GTL. Same with amulet coins. Lucky eggs today are consumable items that increase your XP gained for a short amount of time. Lucky eggs back in the day used to act the same way they would in the traditional games. They were permanently held items that your Pokemon would essentially hold on to, and they would gain double XP, I believe. I don't think it was 1.5. I think it was 2 times XP. I could be wrong, though. It might have been 1.5 the whole time. Anyway, it was a held item, gained XP, permanent XP, really, really good. So everybody needed a lucky egg. That's why it was such a good item. The reason why Lucky Egg became the currency was because everybody needed it. Whether you played PvP, PvM, casual player, serious player, everybody wanted a Lucky Egg. It was like the end game item. And they were really, really hard to get. The only way to get them was by sitting here in the Safari Zone, encountering Chanseys, and trying to catch them, and trying to get yourself a lucky egg. I can speak from experience where I have literally never had one. I literally sat here and farmed for tens and tens of hours. I don't think I ever reached hundreds back then, maybe 100, but I spent a lot of time here. I spent a lot of time farming lucky eggs. I'm sure I baited Chanseys back then. I'm sure I rocked Chanseys. I'm sure I made tons of wrong decisions, but I never ended up with a lucky egg ever. Not a single one. And it makes sense because lucky eggs were so rare and so valuable that one lucky egg would be equivalent to one shiny Pokemon. That's how it worked back then. One lucky egg was like one shiny Tentacruel. 2 lucky eggs might be something like a shiny Hoot or something a little more rare. 5 lucky eggs might be a shiny Houndour. A shiny starter, you're looking at like 10 to 16 lucky eggs, if I remember correctly. Like, once again, all based off memory. Some people could correct me based on their experiences and stuff in the comments. It was really interesting. Rares would go for like 8 to 16 lucky eggs or something. It was similar to, someone actually mentioned this on stream yesterday, if you ever played this game, Team Fortress 2, buds. Very similar system. Earbuds are sort of like, I forget the ratio. Back when I played, I think it was like worth like 20 keys or something was the other, stuff like that. It's very interesting how games like this sort of develop their own economies given the player base and how much fun they can have with it and how far they can take it. But lucky eggs have changed a lot since then, obviously. Now they're a consumable item. Something I found while researching a little bit for the making of the video, just to double check some of my stuff. I could barely find any information on this, so it was really tough to double check anything, which is why I have a lot of qualifications here. But I did find this petition on change.org. Someone made a legitimate petition trying to persuade the developers to revert the change of amulet coins and lucky eggs and everything being consumable. It says, this amulet coin and lucky egg change is going to drive away a lot of players. Many of us feel you are ignoring our interests. Please change it back, as I do not want to see my favorite game die to greed. If you asked me what I thought about this petition back in, whatever, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have agreed. I probably would have been like, yeah, you know what, honestly, that, blah, blah, blah. I would have totally bought into it. But if you ask me nowadays, I actually disagree with that petition entirely. I think that the devs knew what they were doing, and I think it shows. I think they knew that they needed to cut down on inflation, and not just Pokeyen inflation, but inflation of items. Now, this was much after all of that stuff became tradable, so, I'm kind of skipping a few steps. We'll jump back. But essentially, if more and more amulet coins come into the game permanently, or more and more lucky eggs for that matter, if more and more come into the game permanently and none are being removed, the price just infinitely goes down. That's inflation, right? Or with obviously a little different with currency and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's devaluing. But essentially, lucky eggs and amulet coins were just infinitely going down in value, and it was a huge problem. So they decided to make them consumable. Now, I can understand how this would be a weird thing for new players. I totally get that. I think it's a super fair point, but I think it was really crucial and really important for the overall health of the game's economy. And I think over the last couple of years, it's really shown to be a correct decision. Now, jumping back, we kind of went beginning, and now we're going to jump back to the middle section. Essentially, they did end up adding Pokeyen to the game. I want to say in 2015. I want to say 2014, 2015, Pokeyen became the currency. Someone could correct me. Maybe it was even late 2013, but once again, someone could correct me. Somewhere between late 2013 to 2015, Pokeyen did become the currency. It became the staple currency. And what happened was lucky eggs were worth a lot of money. Lucky eggs came out and they were worth like 8 mil or something at the very start. A lot of Pokeyen. 8 mil for like the lowest tier shiny. Think about it like that way, essentially. But they just perpetually went down. They started at like 8 mil, if I remember correctly. They went down to 6, went down to 4, went down to 3, went down to 2. I remember when lucky eggs were at like 1 mil. 1 mil, kind of peaking below. That was a really big deal. Like lucky eggs being at 1 mil and sort of peaking down below into like the 900Ks or so. That was a really scary time. They got as low as like 300K. And I remember, I think that's when the devs made the decision. I think once they tanked all the way down to like 300K, the devs were like, man, we have to change this. We have to make, we have to like actually fix the economy, or else this item is just going to be like, worthless in a matter of no time. And it's just, what's the point of having that, right? So you have to do that in a Pokemon game. I think like you have to make decisions like this in an unofficial Pokemon MMO. It's the only way to make the economy in a game like this work. And it's really smart, and it's really cool that the devs seem to have made the correct decisions over the years to keep the economy running. But my point was, nowadays, or we're going to loop this all around, my point was that nowadays you have tons of different money-making methods within PokeMMO, and back then, quite literally, the only thing you could do to make money was pretty much run back and forth here and hunt for lucky eggs. You could technically go shiny hunt, but no one really thought of that as a real possibility. You could technically go shiny hunt and then sell that for lucky eggs, but that's, a terrible idea in my personal opinion. You could try to get enough competitive Pokemon. Sometimes people would sell lucky eggs for competitive Pokemon, but it was pretty rare. Like if you got like 5 competitive Pokemon, people but okay, you know what, I'll trade a lucky egg for that. It's pretty rare though. It was pretty uncommon you'd see that. But yeah, really the only way to make money, especially pure, quote unquote money, the only currency was to just sit here and farm lucky eggs. And looking back, that was an incredible time. I loved it. It was simple. It was interesting. It was kind of hype. It was kind of fun. But holy, whatever. Like, I'm so glad it changed. That was not sustainable. That would have been miserable. I can't imagine if for the past 10 years, if we've just been sitting here farming lucky eggs for the past 10 years, this game would have died a long time ago. I think all of the economic decisions that the devs have made, the players haven't always agreed with, but it was always for the better of the game, in my opinion. And I think I really understand that nowadays. And I didn't understand that growing up. Didn't understand that playing this game for a long time. But I think I do get it now. And that's kind of what I wanted to ramble about and talk about today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video to some extent. Just some mildly entertaining background content while you're playing PokeMMO yourself. Like this video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO content. Follow the Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord's linked down below. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel and allow me to do content like this every single day, it is super appreciated. And there are links down below to do so with YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo. Have a great day. Hopefully you don't have to go farm lucky eggs today because that stuff sucks. Have a good one.